Hey everyone, it's Chrispy Patty. We're continuing with Frozen 2 on Chapter 8. So here we go. Arendelian soldiers, Anna muttered to herself, finding it very odd to see them in the enchanted forest. She wondered, could these Arendelians in Northuldra be the people from their father's story who had been trapped in the enchanted forest when the mist rose? A stern-looking Northuldra woman named Yelana appeared next to the lieutenant. She held her staff firmly at his side. He winced and rolled his eyes. It was obvious that he didn't need to turn around to know who was there. Threatening my people again, Lieutenant? Yelana asked. Invading my dance space again, Yelana? He said sarcastically. Anna squinted at the lieutenant. Why does that soldier look so familiar? She said to herself. She was certain she had seen him somewhere before. But where? She stepped toward him for a closer look. Seeing that she was still holding the ice sword, one of the other Arendelian soldiers shouted, Look out, Lieutenant! The soldiers instantly darted toward Anna and her group. The Northuldra took the opportunity to push in, too. Now the friends were completely surrounded. Get the sword, commanded the lieutenant. He and Yelana scooted back and forth with their arms out, trying to block each other from getting to Anna's sword. But before any of them could get any closer, Elsa used her power to cover the ground beneath their feet with a layer of ice. The display of magic shocked them all. The approaching Northuldra and Arendelians tried to move toward Anna, Elsa, and their friends, but they crashed into each other and fell, slipping and sliding all over the place. The lieutenant gasped, staring at Elsa. That was magic, he said to Yelana, who had landed on the ground as well. Did you see that? Of course I saw it, said Yelana. A young Northuldra man named Ryder smiled over at his sister. Honeymaron explains the ice sculptures, he said with a grin. Okay, we have some pictures here. There we go. Ryder carefully crawled across the ice on his hands and knees. He looked up as he came face to face with Olaf. The little snowman smiled. And the talking snowman, said Ryder. Hi, I'm Olaf. Hi, I'm Ryder. This is my sister, Honeymaron. Ryder responded. Honeymaron, who sat on the ground behind her brother, smiled slightly and gave an awkward wave. Anna's eyes were still fixed on the lieutenant. She stared at him as she searched her memory, trying to place his face. When he rose to his feet, she finally asked, Do I know you? Have you been in this forest before? He said. It was clear that she did not look familiar to him. No, hang on a minute, she said, dropping the ice sword to the ground. She held up her hands, using her fingers to frame his face. She closed one eye and then the other, checking him out from different angles. This is different, he said, as he waited patiently for her to finish. Finally, she gasped. That's it, she cried. There's a small little picture here in the corner. Lieutenant Matthias? Library, second portrait on the left. You were our father's official guard. Matthias looked at Anna, shocked. Your father was King Agnar of Arendelle, said Elsa. Gripping their staffs, the Northuldra took a step back, falling into a defensive line. They eyed the group suspiciously, wondering if what they were hearing was correct. Lieutenant Matthias couldn't believe that Anna and Elsa were King Agnar's daughters, but as surprised as he was thrilled to hear that the prince had gotten out of the forest on that terrible day. Agnar, he said, his voice quaking. Here's a picture of motion. He made it home to Arendelle. He did, said Anna. He was a great king. I knew he would be, said Matthias. Wait, he looked at the girls with concern. Was? Our father and mother were lost on a voyage in the southern sea 7 years ago, explained Elsa. The Arendellian soldiers silently bowed their heads, paying a moment of respect to their lost king and queen. Matthias took a deep breath and then smiled sweetly. I see him, he said gently. I see him in your faces. Really? Said Anna, genuinely touched. It suddenly hit her that she had forgotten manners. I'm Anna, and this is my sister Queen Elsa. Matthias nodded to them. Yolanda stepped up, irritated. Why are you here? She asked. A powerful magic forced our people out of our kingdom, explained Anna. To protect them, Elsa interrupted. From what? Matthias asked. Anna looked at Elsa and then back to Matthias. All we know is that it has something to do with whatever happened in the forest. None of us knows what really happened in this forest, said a soldier. What spells did you use to awaken the spirits to get through the mist? Yolanda asked accusingly. No spells, said Elsa. Someone called to me. Someone let us in. They have answers. I know it. Answers that can get us out of here. Everyone began whispering excitedly. Don't trust her on her sorcery, said Yolanda, turning toward her people. She doesn't use sorcery, said Anna. She was born with magic. A silence fell over the crowd. Impossible, said Yolanda, spitting out the word with anger. Why would nature reward a person of Arendelle with such power? Matthias glared at Yolanda, moving toward her to make up for the actions of your people. My people, Yolanda asked, outraged. My people came in good faith to honor the dam. Your people used the dam to trick us. The dam was a gift of peace, said Matthias. Or was it a gift of hate? Yolanda asked. You'd like to see it fall. You'd like to see Arendelle washed away, Matthias said. Yolanda shook her head. I don't have such hate in me. She turned to Elsa. But did you know that your grandfather, your king, despised magic? Anna and Elsa were both shocked to hear Yolanda say such a thing about their grandfather. He only feared how people like you could exploit it, said Matthias. And you killed him for it. You can't prove that, shouted Yolanda. The spirits themselves turned against you, shouted Matthias. The tension between the two leaders was rising once again. They turned on to you, too, yelled Yolanda, shaking a finger at him angrily. You are trapped here, too. A blinding flash of light cut through the arguing, making everyone fall silent. Then a bright fireball whipped out from behind a tree and vanished in a blur. Everyone spun around, bracing for whatever was going to happen next. There was a deafening boom, and an enormous tree burst into flames. It crackled as the blaze grew, lapping up everything around it, quickly enveloping the tree and all the nearby brush. Fire spirit! Yelled Yolanda. Chapter 9. Oh, the sun is setting. I can still see. Kind of like reading. I have always read without the lights on until I can't see anymore. And my mom would always, when I was a kid, my mom would always come in and say, don't you need the lights on? And I would say, nope, I don't know what it is. I think I just like the natural light that comes in through the outdoors. I love the outdoors. Olaf backed away, fearfully eyeing the crackling flames. This will all make sense when I'm older, he whispered to himself, trying to remain calm. Get back, everyone, ordered Yolanda. Head for the river, shouted Matthias. The fireball zipped and zoomed around at an incredible pace, leaving disaster in its wake. As it zigzagged across Northuldra camp, people screamed and dove out of the way. Elsa ran to help. Magic poured out of... Oh! A whole page devoted to a picture. is Elsa. I don't know, maybe you can't see anymore. I don't know. There. Is that better? Mom! Just kidding. Her hands in waves as she tried to put out the flames. The ferocious fire was too much. It continued to grow and spread, picking up speed as it ripped through the camp. Elsa's power didn't seem to have any effort on it. Her ice magic didn't even slow it down. Ryder noticed the herd of reindeer running from the fire, but in the wrong direction. Panicked, he shouted, "No, no, no!" The reindeer, "That's a dead end!" "Come on, Sven," Kristoff said bravely. Then he called to Ryder. "We'll get them." He climbed onto Sven's back and they bolted toward the reindeer, ready to lead them in a safer direction. A wall of flames suddenly blocked their path. There was no way to get to the reindeer. Seeing them trapped, Elsa used her power to blast a temporary ice opening in the fire, just big enough for Sven and Kristoff to squeeze through. They leaped between the flames as soon as they could and took off after the frightened herd. Anna, who had been helping the Northuldra evacuate from their camp, looked back to see Elsa trying to battle huge flames that towered over her. "Elsa, get out of there!" she yelled. Anna turned and pushed her way through the people heading in the opposite direction. She was determined to enter the chaos and get to Elsa. The fire roared as it spread, burning faster than Anna could run, but she knew it. It had closed in on her. She coughed, trying to call to her sister, even as her voice began to fail. Kristoff had reached the herd and Sven reared up, both of them fearful as they put themselves between the reindeer and the growing flames. "Come on, buddy," said Kristoff, encouraging him. "We can do this." He steadied himself and held on tight. "Hiya!" he shouted, taking off. One quick glance over his shoulder made him smile. The herd had fallen in behind Sven and were following him to safety. Caught in the flames, Anna suddenly fell to her knees. She struggled to breathe as the fire continued to close in. Kristoff saw her and shouted, "Anna!" to Elsa, to draw her attention to her sister. Hearing Kristoff's cry, Elsa spun around. She blasted her magic into the blaze, creating another opening for Kristoff. He and Sven dashed through, and in one fell swoop, Kristoff grabbed Anna and hoisted her up onto Sven's back. They galloped away from the fire. "Get her out of here!" yelled Elsa. "No, Elsa!" shouted Anna, looking toward her sister with concern. She wanted to jump down and join her to protect her. She had vowed to stay by her side, and here she was being carried off in the opposite direction. Despite Anna's pleas, Kristoff continued. Anna watched desperately as Elsa turned and disappeared between massive waves of hot flame. Elsa kept working hard with her magic, courageously battling the fire, but no matter what she did, the fire did not get any smaller. She changed strategies and chased after the moving fireball until suddenly it seemed to diminish at a small rocky cliff. It appeared to roll beneath the rocks. Seeing that the fire spirit was finally contained, she slowed and caught her breath. Then she spotted something. She leaned in close and saw a pair of terrified eyes peering out at her. The fire spirit was a small salamander. Elsa watched as the salamander whimpered and coughed, sending out a steady stream of fire that shot toward a tree. Waving her hands, Elsa gave the blaze a blast of magic. She and the salamander watched as the orange flame sparked and fizzled with color before freezing in midair. The icy fire looked strange and beautiful as it hung there for a single moment before melting away. The salamander looked up at Elsa. The fire spirit's expression was cautious and wary, as if it were afraid of being hurt. Elsa gently held out her hand, and the salamander walked toward it. The creature slowly approached her, carefully stretching one leg in front of the other, keeping its eyes on her the whole time. The salamander crept onto her hand 1 foot at a time, easing along her cool skin. Small, smoldering flames continued to rise from its back. Hey, I'm back. I was cooking something and I had to check on it. All right, Elsa winced as she felt the salamander's flaming hot skin. But she took a deep breath, letting the little animal cool off in her hand. Oh, she whispered as the salamander sizzled in her palm. Oh, ow. She raised her other hand and sprinkled some snowflakes in front of the creature. As the little salamander gobbled them up, the flames on its back went out. The more it relaxed, the more the small fires still crackling in the bush around them died down. Elsa continued to create more snowflakes in the air for the salamander. Now completely cooled off, the salamander playfully shot out a tiny burst of fire, popping the snowflakes into little puffs of steam. Here's a picture of Elsa with the salamander. And the salamander did it again, enjoying the fun little game. All the fires around them smoked gently now. Finally out, the salamander happily snuggled deeper into Elsa's hand. Elsa smiled, feeling especially connected to the little creature. The sudden sound of footsteps nearby brought Elsa back to her surroundings. She turned and peeked over her shoulder to see several Northuldra and the Arendalians soldiers standing there, staring curiously and whispering to each other. They're all looking at us, aren't they? She said softly to the salamander. Got any advice? No, nothing. The salamander flicked out its tongue, licking its eyes. Should I know what that means? That just then she heard the voice. It hadn't called to her since before she'd seen the mist at the edge of the forest, but now it was loud and insistent. She and the salamander simultaneously whipped their heads around, turning toward it. And that is where we will leave off until tomorrow at chapter 10. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.